Chapter 3, Mishnah 7. The Mishnah discusses things a person may not do within his own property because they will cause damage to his neighbor. A person may not open windows from his house so that they will overlook a courtyard in which he is a partner, as this will prevent his partner from being able to use the courtyard for private activities. Although he owns a share in the courtyard and has the right to be there, his neighbor can still use the courtyard for private things when he is not in the courtyard. Opening a window that overlooks the courtyard will prevent the neighbor from ever using it for private activities, since he cannot tell when someone will be looking out the window. Opening a window that overlooks a courtyard will prevent the neighbor from ever using it for private activities, since he cannot tell when someone will be looking out the window. Also, if one buys a house in a courtyard other than his own, and the back wall of that house faces his own courtyard that he shares with neighbors, he may not open a new door for the house through that back wall into the courtyard in which he is a partner, because the people living in the newly bought house will then walk through the shared courtyard, increasing the foot traffic there. Although he already owns a share in the courtyard, the second house he bought does not, for it does not open onto that courtyard. The other neighbors can therefore refuse to allow the residents of the second house to walk through their courtyard, and he cannot open a door from the new house onto the courtyard without their permission. For the same reason, if he built an additional story on top of his house, he may not open a door from it directly into a shared courtyard, because the people that will live in the new story will cause increased traffic in the courtyard. The Mishnah explains which types of additions are permitted, but if he wishes, he may build extra rooms within his house, or he may build an attic room on top of his house and open them into his own house rather than directly into the shared courtyard. That is, he may subdivide his house into smaller rooms or build a low ceiling inside the house to create an attic, without adding to the total square footage of the interior of the house. Since he is entitled to fill his entire house with residents if he wishes, no one can object if he divides the house into smaller rooms, as long as he does not create a separate entrance. And since they all exit from his door, the neighbors cannot complain about the extra traffic. Even in cases where one has a chazaka that allows him to have windows and doors opening into a shared courtyard, for example, when one is replacing a window or door that already existed, there are still rules about where they may be placed. One may not open, in the case of a shared courtyard, doors that are directly opposite a neighbor's doors or windows that are directly opposite a neighbor's windows, because this will cause the neighbor to suffer the loss of his privacy. If there was already a small door or window there, he may not make it into a large one, because his neighbor can claim, I am able to guard my privacy when you have only a small door opening into the courtyard. I cannot do so if you have a large one, because it is much easier to see in the courtyard from a large door. Similarly, if there was already one door or window there, he may not make it into two, because this will also cause the neighbor to lose his privacy to a greater degree. The Mishnah explains that these laws do not apply with respect to a neighbor that lives across the street. But one may open to the public domain a door that is directly opposite the door of his neighbor who lives across the street, or a window that is directly opposite the window of a neighbor across the street. These actions will not cause any loss of privacy, because the neighbor has no privacy from the people constantly passing by in the street in any case, unless he closes his own door or window. Therefore, the restrictions that apply to opening doors or windows into a shared courtyard do not apply in this case. Similarly, if the door or window that was there was small, he may make it larger. And if there was one door or window there, he may make it into two, because this will make no difference to the neighbor across the street.